What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a Leonard Cohen Top 10 for the years 1984 through 2016. It's actually part 2 that we're doing for our patron, longtime supporter, and friend of the channel, Asmund. Thank you, Asmund. Part 1's already up. I'll link it at the end screen after this video is over with. Super enjoyed that one. Give you some quick background on Leonard again, and then we'll jump right in. Leonard was a Canadian singer, songwriter, poet, and novelist. His work explored religion, politics, isolation, depression, sexuality, loss, death, and romantic relationships. Pretty much everything of humanity. He was inducted in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame, the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. His most famous song, Hallelujah, which may make an appearance here, was first released on his studio album Various Positions in 1984. I'm Your Man in 1988 marked Cohen's turn to synthesized productions. In 1992, Cohen released its follow-up, The Future, which had dark lyrics and references to political and social unrest. He returned to music in 2001 with the release of 10 New Songs, which was a major hit in Canada and Europe. His 11th album, Dear Heather, followed in 2004, following a successful string of tours between 2008 and 2013. He released 3 albums in the final 4 years of his life. Old Ideas in 2012, Popular Problems in 2014, which we actually have an album reaction up to, and You Want It Darker in 2016, the last of which was released 3 weeks before his death. A posthumous album, Thanks for the Dance, was released in November of 2019, his 15th and final studio album. So all that to say, guys, we're going to jump into this. I'm not going to have the music in here because it'll get blocked, but there's a Vimeo link below. You can follow along with me. And you see it below. We're going to start out with Darkness from Old Ideas in 2012. And I don't have anything else on this song itself as far as research-wise. I'll tell you, man, if you somehow have never listened to Leonard, like, you're going to have to really focus. Leonard's writing he used to be a writer before he went into music. Didn't go into music till he's 33, I believe. So you got to really focus, man, because his songs are intricate. It's not a casual listen, but in a good way. All right, thanks again, Asmund. Darkness. What a way to start this thing. We have, obviously, the keyboards are really prominent on here. You even got a lute on here, which is kind of looks like a guitar. I mean, a sitar is considered a lute. It wasn't a sitar, but you got all kinds of things on here. It starts out with the chorus. I caught the darkness. It was drinking from your cup. I caught the darkness. I'm drinking from your cup. I don't know if that's about a woman. I think it is. That's what somebody here on Genius thinks that I look at their lyrics on. I said, is this contagious? He said, just drink it up. First one, I got no future. I know my days are few. The present's not that pleasant. Just a lot of things to do. I thought the darkness would last me, but the darkness got that too. And somebody notes that Leonard's financial advisor and close friend cleaned him out of almost all his money and forced him out of retirement. One of the things, including writing this song, obviously, because he's forced out of retirement so he could make some money. So I think that's part of what this line is in here. I should have seen it coming. It was right behind your eyes. You were young and it was summer. I just had to take a dive. Winning you was easy, but darkness was the price. This woman's taking him down the road, man. And verse 4, I used to love the rainbow and I used to love the view. I loved the early morning. I didn't pretend that it was new, but I caught the darkness, baby, and I got it worse than you. So I don't know if this woman messed him over, and now he's even got a darker outlook than she does, but before he was kind of positive about things. That's going to take us to Alexandra Leaving from 10 New Songs in 2001. I found some stuff on this. On December 5th, 2001, Cohen posted a message on the French Leonard Cohen site. He said, I'm very sorry that I neglected to cite Constantine P. Cavafy and his great poem, The God Forsakes Anthony, as an inspiration for my new song, Alexandra Leaving. Somehow the credit got left out of my liner notes, though I did make the connection clear in many interviews and on Jarko's site, the Leonard Cohen Files. The work of him has touched me and influenced me for many years. Even as I write this, there's a picture of him above my desk. Please accept my apologies. And Cavafy is a Greek poet. This is based on his Plutarch's story of Antony in the city of Alexandria when he was forsaken by his protector, god Bacchus or Dionysus. Cohen's version, appropriately written in the Greek island of Hydra, turns the story into the description of a woman named Alexandra forsaking the narrator. In an interview for the German Focus magazine in 2001, he said, I began the song on Hydra in 1985. The first drafts disappeared into a desk drawer until I discovered them and began working on them again in the late 90s. In the spring of this year, the song was ready for the innumerable original verses. Only 9 remain. So he releases this in 2001, and the man started writing this in 1985. Let's check it out. Alexandra Leaving. Just a fantastic track, right? Way different than the previous. Just Leonard's voice sounds so good on here. Sharon Robinson is in here on this with him on this album. She co-wrote basically all of them and then recorded them in his home studio or her home studio. But her voice works perfectly with his. It softens the voice up a little bit for him. But I saw they recorded this album over a 1.5 year span. So just a wonderfully done song. Like the lyricism obviously is great, but it's not a trick. Your senses all deceiving. A fitful dream, the morning will exhaust. Say goodbye to Alexandra Leaving, and say goodbye to Alexandra lost. Even though she sleeps upon your satin, even though she wakes you with a kiss, do not say the moment was imagined. Do not stoop to strategies like this. So she's leaving him, right? And even though she's there with him, she's no longer in love with him, or maybe she never was. Who knows? But just a beautiful song. Very limited instrumentation on this, just like it needed to be, because it needed to be their voices, right? And I saw on this album when I was doing the research, there's not a lot of other musicians on this album. It's pretty much just them banging most of this out. Now we're up to number 8 on Asmund's top 10 Leonard Cohen songs from 1984 to 2016. You see a boy of Tower of Song from I'm Your Man. And I found on this, the genesis of Tower of Song is described in Ira Nadell's 1996 Cohen memoir, Various Positions. So he says, Tower of Song is the keynote work of I'm Your Man. With it, Cohen wanted to make a definitive statement about the heroic enterprise of the craft of songwriting. In the early 80s, he called the work Raise My Voice in Song. His concern was with the aging songwriter and the necessity to transcend one's own failure by manifesting as the singer, as the songwriter. He had abandoned the song, but one night in Montreal, he finished the lyrics and called an engineer and recorded it in one take with a toy synthesizer. He recited the lyrics in full when he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He actually felt this was the, quote, real song on the album, although it's not clear what he means by real song. He said, Tower of Song, that's a good song. That's probably the only real song on that album. I think that the standard of the whole record is quite high, but Tower of Song is one of the 3 or 4 real songs that I've ever written. That is some high praise from Leonard. Looking forward to this one. Tower of Song. What a song, man. I mean, basically, Leonard builds this narrative that he's in the Tower of Song. Right? Even in verse 2, he said, I said to Hank Williams, how lonely does it get? Hank Williams hasn't answered yet, but I heard him coughing all night long. Oh, 100 floors above me in the Tower of Song. So saying that Hank was way up here and Leonard was way... And I mean, this was released in 1988. Hank died in 1953, but he's just kind of showing where he was. I love this next one. I was born like this. I had no choice. I was born with the gift of a golden voice, because so many people don't like Leonard's voice. He didn't mind being self-deprecating there. And just all kinds of... I mean, it's just... The song itself is just so well written. Now you can say that I've grown bitter, but out of this you may be sure. The rich have got their channels in the bedrooms of the poor, and there's a mighty judgment coming, but I may be wrong. You see, you hear these funny voices in the Tower of Song, in the previous voice, and they don't let a woman kill you, not in the Tower of Song, because you're writing your own song, so you can be your own hero and get out of any situation. Now I bid you farewell. I don't know when I'll be back. They're moving us tomorrow to that tower down the track. But you'll be hearing from me, baby. Now, long after I'm gone, I'll be speaking to you sweetly from a window in the Tower of Song. Which is true, because Leonard's been gone for several years now, and he's still talking to us through the Tower of Song. So really enjoyed that. And that doo-dah, dee-dah, whatever it was in between there. He said that Jennifer Warnes came up with that, and he's very appreciative. I don't know if that's her singing on it or not, because there's nothing attributed to it, but I'm guessing it probably is. But she came up with it. Now up to number 7, you see it below. On That Day from Dear Heather in 2004. This is a reaction to the 9/11 attacks, is what I found. Leonard has said this about the attacks, though. You know, there's an ancient Hebrew blessing that is said upon hearing bad news. Blessed are thou, King of the universe, the true judge. He said it's impossible for us to discern the pattern of events and the unfolding of a world which is not entirely our making. So I can only say that. Pretty good wisdom there from Mr. Cohen. All right, let's check it out. That odd instrument on there is Leonard playing a Jew's harp. So I thought that was interesting. It's a shorter song. Some people say it's what we deserve for sins against God, for crimes in the world. Talking about 9/11. I wouldn't know. I'm just holding the fort since that day they wounded New York. Some people say they hate us of old, our women unveiled, our slaves and our gold. I wouldn't know. I'm just holding the fort. But answer me this. I won't take you to court. Did you go crazy, or did you report on that day, they wounded New York? I mean, that's the whole song. So it's a very non-judgmental, like, look, here's what happened, and I'm not judging anybody. He's just asking some questions. So I've only ever heard one song on this top 10 of this particular list. So I thought that was I thought that was a really good song. Now up to number 6, Leaving the Table from What You Want It Darker in 2016. On the album, after touring extensively between 2008 and 2013, Leonard began to suffer multiple fractures of his spine, among other physical problems. According to his son Adam, due to Leonard's mobility issues, You Want It Darker was recorded in the living room of his home in Los Angeles and then sent by email to his musical collaborators. It's crazy, man, what technology could do at that point. Cohen has said his condition helped him eliminate any distractions during the recording of the album. He said, quote, "In a certain sense, this particular predicament is filled with many fewer distractions than other times in my life and actually enables me to work with a little more concentration and continuity than when I had duties of making a living, being a husband, being a father." Despite his medical condition, Adam said his father occasionally, in bouts of joy, he would even through his pain stand up in front of the speakers and repeat a song over and over like teenagers. I mean, what a cool visual that is that Adam shared. Leaving the Table, I super enjoyed that one. The lyricism's fantastic. I'm leaving the table, I'm out of the game. I don't know the people in your picture frame. If I ever loved you or no, it's a crying shame if I ever loved you. If I knew your name. Verse 3, there's nobody missing, there's no reward. Little by little, we're cutting the cord. We're spending the treasure that love cannot afford. I know you can feel it, the sweetness restored. I don't need a reason for what I've become. I've got these excuses, they're tired and lame. I don't need a pardon, no. There's no one left to blame. I'm leaving the table. I'm out of the game. So he's out. He doesn't have to explain himself to anybody. He's out. And I think one of the things I really enjoy in this, the instrumentation on here is fantastic. Bill Bottrell is on here on pedal steel, but you also got a Celeste, you got a Mellotron, and you actually got nylon string guitars. And a nylon's just an acoustic, but it's nylon instead of steel strings. This gives a softer sound to it. So there's a lot going on here instrumentally to go with Leonard's voice at this point in his life. I just think it works fantastic. Next up at number 5, we're in the top half of this countdown. You see it. It's Slow from Popular Problems in 2014. So I lied. I've actually heard this song too. I don't remember it, but we did review this album. Different examples of how he likes it slow. The tune, the race, not because he's old, he points out, but he's always been this way. So I sort of do remember that part of this, but I don't remember the song at all. Slow. Leonard just wants you to know he likes things slow. It starts out, I'm slowing down the tune. I've never liked it fast. You want to get there soon. I want to get there last. It's not because I'm old. It's not the life I've led. It's I've always liked it slow. That's what my mama says. This is 2014, right? He's in the final years of his life. He's telling me, it's not because I'm an old man, man. It's how I always liked it, man. Wasting up his shoes, but I don't want to run. I'll get there when I do. Don't need no starting gun. It's not because I'm old, and it's not what dying does. I've always liked it slow. Slow is in my blood. And then the female backing comes in eventually, and they kind of just punch this stuff up. So I really did enjoy that too, man. As a guy that's getting older, I know you're looking at this going, no, dude, you can't be. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm getting older. Now we're going to go to the number 4 on Asmund's top 10 list of Leonard Cohen songs from 1984 to 2016. You see it below. We got Dance Me to the End of Love from the Various Positions album back in 1984. Although structured as a love song, this was in fact inspired by the Holocaust. In a 1995 radio interview, Cohen said of the song, quote, "It's curious how songs begin because the origin of the song, every song, has kind of a grain or seed that somebody hands you or the world hands you. And that's why the process is so mysterious about writing a song. But that came from just hearing or reading or knowing that in the death camps, besides the crematoria, in certain of the death camps, a string quartet was pressed into performance while this horror was going on. Those were the people whose fate was this horror also. And they would be playing classical music while their fellow prisoners were being killed and burnt." Jeez, man. So that music, Dance Me to Your Beauty with the burning violin, meaning the beauty thereof being the consummation of life, the end of this existence and of the passionate element in that consummation. But it is the same language that we use for surrender to the beloved. So that song, it's not important that anybody knows the genesis of it, because if the language comes from that passionate resource, it will be able to embrace all passion activity. End quote. Leonard was a very smart man. If you hadn't figured that out already, his writing is outstanding. He's one of the greatest songwriters ever. All right, I'm looking forward to this. So an interesting song, tempo and instrumentally, right? Much more upbeat than I would have expected. As you read the lyrics, now that I understand where he wrote the song from, that's how I view the song. But I get it if you didn't. I mean, I don't know how you would have known this when the song came out in 1984, boys and girls, because we didn't have the World Wide Web or have any idea. We just kind of interpreted things for ourselves unless we were lucky enough to read an interview in print media, basically, or see somebody on TV, which, in the States, Cohen wasn't going to be on TV giving an interview, but starts out, dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Dance me through the panic till I'm gathered safely in. Lift me like an olive branch and be my homeward dove. So some biblical allusion there. Dance me to the end of love. And then, he just kind of talks about, he goes through just the love and how love progresses. Verse 3, dance me the wedding now, dance me on and on. Dance me very tenderly and dance me very long. Verse 4, dance me to the children who are asking to be born. So they're following through this. And then at the end, dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Touch me with your naked hand. Touch me with your glove. Dance me to the end of love. And he just finishes it out. I like the instrumental stuff in here. I thought it really went to the song. The second instrumental's got a lot of violin in there. The opening instrumental, very upbeat. So definitely enjoyed that one. A very unique song, even in Leonard's catalog that I've heard at least. Now we're up to number 3. You see it below. Everybody Knows from I'm Your Man in 1988. Written by Leonard and Sharon Robinson. Also has been covered a lot and used in a lot of soundtracks. Everybody Knows. It's a really well-written song. Basically things that if you've lived a long enough life, like everybody knows this and that. Everybody knows the dice are loaded. Everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. Everybody knows the war is over. Everybody knows the good guys are lost. Everybody knows the fight was fixed. The poor stay poor. The rich get rich. That's how it goes. Everybody knows. That's verse 1. I don't read every verse to you, but he just goes through the unfolding of life. And he says, and everybody knows that you love me, baby. Everybody knows that you really do. Everybody knows that you've been faithful. I give or take a night or two. Everybody knows you've been discreet. But there's so many people you just had to meet without your clothes. And everybody knows. So it kind of flips us and it's like, I know about you. And then just the chorus, everybody knows that's how it goes. Get a little backing vocals in there. Everybody knows it's now or never. Everybody knows that it's me or you. Everyone knows that you live forever. When you've done a line or two, see those drugs, you think you're invincible. Everybody knows a plague is coming. He didn't even know, huh? Everybody knows that it's moving fast. It finished out, everybody knows that you're in trouble. Everybody knows what you've been through. From the bloody cross on top of Calvary to the beach of Malibu, everybody knows it's coming apart. And then it's the everybody knows. One of my favorites on here. Fantastic song. So now we're up to number 2, right? Number 2. And I think I was shocked when I saw this list. But I don't know Cohen's catalog. And I trust Asmund implicitly. Asmund knows a lot about music and knows a lot about Cohen. But many of you are going to be shocked when I pop up number 2. Probably not, because you probably already figured out with that buildup. But number 2 is Hallelujah. After achieving little initial success, it found greater popular acclaim through recording by John Cale, which inspired the recording by Buckley. So Buckley was inspired by Cale's, not Leonard's, but Leonard is the father of the song. He wrote it. Following its increased popularity after being featured in the film Shrek in 2001, many other arrangements have been performed in recordings and in concert, with over 300 versions known. The song has been used in film and television soundtracks and televised talent contests, i.e. it was on American Idol all the time back in the day. He wrote about 80 verses for this, with one writing session at the Royalton Hotel in New York where he's reduced to sitting on the floor in his underwear, banging his head on the floor. His original version, as recorded on his album Various Positions, which is what we're taking this from back in 1984, contains several biblical references, most notably evoking the stories of Samson and Delilah from the book of Judges, as well as King David and Bathsheba. Following his original 1984 studio album version, he performed the original song on his tour in 85. Well, live performances during his 88 and 93 tours almost invariably contained a quite different set of lyrics. Numerous singers mix lyrics from both versions and occasionally make direct lyric changes. His lyrical poetry and his view that, quote, many different hallelujahs exist is reflected in wide-ranging covers with very different intents or tones, allowing the song to be melancholic, fragile, uplifting, or joyous, depending on the performer. John Cale, the first person to record a cover version of it in 91, promoted a message of soberness and sincerity in contrast to Cohen's dispassionate tone. The cover by Buckley, which I would think is the most well-known, is more sorrowful. We actually did a song battle of Buckley versus Cohen on this. So, this song is one of my favorite songs of all time. The Buckley version. I've only heard the Leonard version a couple times, believe it or not, just because the Buckley version seemed to pop up everywhere. Number 2 on Asmund's list, Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's iconic. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you know this song and you know Cohen's version of it. Like I said, it's probably only the third time I've ever heard his version. I'm just so used to Buckley's version. It's just, it's so much different, but so well done, man. I don't really have a lot to say about it. It's funny how it's the most well-known song. And I don't have a lot to say about it. It's because it's kind of all been said, but just great writing, great tone, backing vocalists used to perfection. So just a fantastic song. So now a drum roll, please, or at least a fake drum roll, because you're wondering what in the world took number one if it wasn't Hallelujah. Well, we got You Want It Darker from the album of the same name in 2016. Single was released on Winter's 82nd birthday. It earned him a Grammy Award for Best Rock Performance and features the vocals of Cantor Gideon Zellemeyer and Shar Hashomayim Choir. Regarding the choice to include the choir on the song, Cohen said, "Even as a boy, I loved their singing. It is what made compulsory synagogue attendance enjoyable. I wanted to work with the cantor and the choir for a long time. The touring years interrupted this intention. On a secondary but still urgent note, there are times when you want to show the flag, when you want to indicate that there is nourishment to be had from this culture, that it is not entirely irrelevant to the present situation, and it does not serve a nation's best interest to reject and despise it. This is more important in some countries than in others." Man, even at the end, Leonard had some really deep stuff to say. All right, guys, number one on Asmund's list of Cohen songs from 84 to 2016, You Want It Darker. You Want It Darker, number one on Asmund's Cohen list. This song is very complex as far as there's so many spiritual aspects to it. It's quite interesting. Almost has a gospel tinge in there at certain points with the choir, and then it takes on kind of a stronger sound. And Leonard just kind of goes through, if you're the dealer, I'm out of the game. If you're the healer, it means I'm broken and lame. If thine is the glory, then mine must be the shame. You want it darker, we kill the flame. Magnified, sanctified, be thy holy name. Vilified, crucified in the human frame. A million candles burning for the help that never came. You want it darker. And he says, Henai, Henai, which means here I am in Hebrew. I'm ready, my Lord. So it just kind of goes through in that aspect. I want to say it's a dark song necessarily. It's a realistic song, right? In this world, there's going to be suffering. That's the way it is, man. I mean, because of the fall and different things there, and I won't get all biblical with you, but yeah, the world is not going to be a shiny, happy place all the time. And so Leonard's kind of acknowledging that, acknowledging sometimes maybe our view of how the world's supposed to be all perfect is not exactly correct. So definitely enjoyed that one. Now, before we get to my favorite songs, Asmund included his honorable mentions. He said, If It Will Be Your Will from various positions in 1984. First We Take Manhattan and Ain't No Cure for Love, both from I'm Your Man in 88. The Future from the Future in 1992. Villanelle for Our Time from Dear Heather in 04. And Happens to the Heart from Thanks for the Dance in 2019. So now we're going to get to my favorite tracks. And now we get to my favorite tracks. It's one of those weird lists where I liked every song on here. I mean, some I like more than others, but there wasn't a song on here I didn't like. You're going to get that a lot of times when, one, you got a patron that really understands an artist's catalog, and two, you got an artist that's got a vast catalog. Usually you're going to have 10 pretty darn strong songs. And we've had this on both Cohen lists. My honorable mentions, Tower of Song, which was number 8. I really liked the songwriting on that one. And the last song we just heard, You Want It Darker. My faves, it's going to be stereotypical, but I guess I'll get it out of the way. You already know Hallelujah is going to be one of those. Everybody Knows and Leaving the Table. Great instrumentation. And that was song number 6. I think it might be my favorite one on here. So always appreciate you, Asmund. Always appreciate all the patrons. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the Patreon link on the end screen. The patrons truly keep this thing going. I will put up on the end screen that's about to hit the first part of the Cohen. Just click on that. Check it out. Feel free to look around the channel. We have about 1,500 videos up, so it's probably there. You just got to find it. All right, guys. Until next time, I will see you.